This Starfield melee build is gonna help you pummel your enemies into oblivion, both with melee weapons and completely unarmed. Here's how you can make the build for yourself. Let's start with the melee weapons you'll need. Now, hands down the most damaging melee weapon in the game when it comes to raw numbers is the Last Priest. The Last Priest is a short blade that does massive physical damage, which is the most of any melee weapon, and it also comes with a very nice additional effect. This is called Elemental, and it randomly deals corrosive, radiation, poison, and incendiary damage to your enemies. To get the Last Priest, you have to side with the Hunter in the Unearthed mission. Unearthed is the 16th main mission, so you do have to do quite a few missions before you get it, but it's definitely worth doing. After you've completed Unearthed, you'll get a quest called Infinity's End. Complete the Infinity's End side quest, and you will get the Last Priest. Another melee weapon that works perfectly with this build is the Syndicate Enforcer. You can grab this really early in the game as long as you don't mind doing a bit of stealing. Basically, what you want to do first is go to Neon and head to Ebside. This is located here. Once you're in Ebside, head to Frankie's Grand and Go and pickpocket the set of keys off of this person. With the keys in your possession, go to the freezer door. It's not actually a freezer door, it's a secret entrance. Now all you have to do is follow this route to locate the Syndicate Enforcer weapon, which you could steal from a yellow weapons case.
You try anything?
Case. And this is the Syndicate Enforcer, a beautiful weapon and one that works really well with this build. And a final weapon for your melee build in Starfield. This is an underrated one, it's your hands. Don't be afraid to whip out your fists instead of a melee weapon and let those do the talking. Because as we're about to see, you can totally play this melee build using just your fists and bash your way to glory. No weapons required. But let's get into the build itself. What specific things do you need? Well, what's great about this melee build is that there are plenty of skills that make the build viable. These include the likes of concealment, dueling, Euro strikes, boxing, and martial arts, which all enhance melee builds by providing increased damage, stun effects, knockdown abilities, and critical hits. All of this just makes the melee build really fun to play. So firstly, let's start from the very beginning. In terms of backgrounds, you will need the Ronin background. The Ronin background gives you two starting skills which are really helpful. These are dueling and stealth. With the Ronin background, you'll be traveling alone, so it makes sense to also take the introverted trait. Both the introverted trait and the Ronin background are negatively affected when companions accompany you, so it's best to go alone for combat. Onto the skills we want for this build, and the first one we want to choose is concealment. With concealment, it's all about sneaking around and striking from the shadows. You'll get a big bonus to melee sneak attack damage, and that only goes up when you upgrade the skill more. So rank 1 gives you 4 times more damage to sneak attacks, which is really good for the first rank. But at rank 4, the concealment skill gives you a huge 10 times bonus to melee sneak attack damage. Plus, ranged sneak attacks do 4 times more damage, and that's with any weapon. You don't have to play melee in Starfield like this, of course, all sneaking around, but it definitely gives a big damage buff to your melee playstyle. Another great thing to grab is dueling. The dueling skill is one of the only dedicated melee weapon focused skills in Starfield, so it's crucial. It's pretty straightforward as well. Dueling grants you a 25% increase to melee weapon damage, as well as a 10% decrease in the damage you receive while holding a melee weapon. So just holding a dagger or an axe when getting shot, for instance, reduces the damage you get. At rank 1, melee weapons deal 25% more damage, and you take 10% less damage while wielding a melee weapon. And if you get this all the way up to rank 4, you will heal for 10% of your health if you take someone out with a melee weapon. So it's got this kind of vampire effect going on. No medkits required, just whack people. We also want Neuro Strikes. This is really good for unarmed players, so if you want to roll without any melee weapons whatsoever, get Neuro Strikes. This skill gives you a 10% chance to stun an enemy with an unarmed attack. More skill points invested give you an even higher chance to stun enemies, as well as have unarmed attacks deal EM damage and the ability to knock down surrounding opponents. The ultimate skill for Space Barbarians. At rank 1 you have a 10% chance to stun an enemy with an unarmed attack, as mentioned, and on rank 4 after stunning an enemy you can knock down any enemies in close range as well, all with your fists, because melee builds don't always have to rely on weaponry. Boxing is another good skill for unarmed enthusiasts. With the boxing skill you have the potential to unleash a 100% increase in the amount of damage dealt by unarmed attacks. Doubling the power means you can take out enemies in 2 swings alone. Also, the boxing skill enables you to knock down enemies, which is great if you're taking on a group, as it just gives you more breathing room. Added to that, with boxing you will actually reduce the amount of oxygen that power attacks use. In other words, increasing your stamina so you can unleash hit after hit without tiring. Rank 1 of boxing makes unarmed attacks deal 25% more damage, and you'll use 25% less oxygen when doing a power attack. Meanwhile, on rank 4, unarmed attacks deal 100% more damage and have a chance to knock down opponents. Martial arts is the next skill I recommend getting if you want to make a great Starfield melee build. And it's really versatile because it improves both your melee combat and your unarmed combat. For starters, it raises your critical hit chances, and it also lets you disarm opponents and reflect incoming damage back to an enemy. That's when you're blocking their attacks. So martial arts is fundamental to the build. It actually has a different thing on each rank. So on rank 1 of martial arts, you get a 15% increased chance to land a critical hit with a melee or unarmed attack. Rank 2, meanwhile, is a 15% chance to disarm an opponent with a melee or unarmed power attack. So a totally different element unlocked there. With rank 3, it's different again, and rank 4 lets you reflect 50% damage back when blocking a melee or unarmed attack. So 4 different things for the price of 1 with the martial arts skill. A great thing to get. And the last skill I suggest getting for the build is gymnastics. It's more about movement than damage, so I wouldn't say it's crucial to the build, it just makes it more fun. And because most of the NPCs in Starfield use ranged weaponry, it will definitely come in handy to get you moving at speed between enemies and close the distance. One of the movement additions it adds is a combat slide, which is so much fun to use. It also reduces fall damage and boosts general movement speed as you're sprinting around. Rank 1 of gymnastics unlocks the ability to combat slide and take 15% less fall damage, while on rank 4 you've got increased jump height and faster running after combat sliding or mantling. So it's all about keeping your momentum going in this one long movement combo. So no damage buffs with gymnastics, just crazy parkour action. So that is the Starfield melee build. Give that a go, guys, and let me know how you get on. But before you do, as this is a melee focused video, I want you to do what all good melee players should do and bash that like button, whack the subscribe button, and thwack that notification bell. As for me, I'm gonna hit the bricks. Thanks for watching and see you later.